Hi guys, and welcome back to another Premier League video. Moving on to round 21, quick recap on round 20, no scores correct. Again, it is a bit difficult with a lot of games being postponed, so some teams are fresher than others, some teams that has a positive effect on, others not so positive. It is a difficult time to be able to read football, so with there still being games in these rounds to play as well, I could actually end up with scores correct from these rounds. They just haven't been played yet. So it's quite difficult. I remember at the start of the season originally setting myself a goal of trying to get 2 scores correct every round. That's obviously went out the window. I'd take 1 happily. As far as I'm concerned, there's 8 games playing, 2 postponed here. May change like after this video comes out, but as of recording, 8 of these games are being played, so hopefully I've got a good chance of getting a score correct. Let's get into my predictions. And starting off with an absolute belter of a game, just to get us into the new year, Arsenal versus Man City. What a game this could be. Now Arsenal, they have won 4 in a row. Their latest was a 5-0 win against Norwich, and they're looking very strong. The Saka, Ødegaard, Martinelli, 3 behind Lacazette. I think they're so creative, so quick, full of talent, and Ødegaard's passing is incredible. He's got such an eye. And yeah, they're just really impressing me at the moment. They're coming up against a Man City side that have made it 10 wins in a row. I'm pretty sure this is the 4th time they've hit 10 wins in a row in the league before, and they just will not stop winning, will they? They always seem to go on a run every season that just pulls them away from whoever they're contending with. Obviously, the one league that they didn't win, where Liverpool won it, City didn't have one of those runs, but they've had one of them now. So I'd expect them to probably go on and win the league from here. But yeah, 10 wins in a row. A 1-0 over Brentford. Not as emphatic as they would have wanted. Rodri wasn't playing. And when Rodri doesn't play, they do look a bit more vulnerable. Grealish was playing, which automatically made my prediction invalid. I didn't think it was going to be 4-1 as soon as I saw Sterling wasn't playing because Grealish was, Mahrez wasn't there. But they've got so many great players that they can switch around. So, yeah, Man City are such a good side. It's going to be difficult for Arsenal. I think I would go potentially for a draw here, just because I like Arsenal at the moment. I think they've got some great players playing very well, but I can't step away from Man City. They are ruthless, and I think they're going to win this one. But I think it'll be tight, so I'm going to go Man City to win 2-1. Leicester taking on Norwich next. This one is postponed. Leicester, they won 1-0 against Liverpool. I put down a draw. I didn't expect Leicester to go all the way and take all 3 points, but it was a great win, especially after the 6-3 loss to Man City just before it. So, I mean, what a week that was for Man City. Leicester going and Man City beating Leicester, and then Leicester going and beating their probably main title rivals, Liverpool. But it was good from Leicester. Can they finally switch on now, or are they just very inconsistent? Norwich, they're very consistent when it comes to losing. They lost 3-0 to Palace. Dean Smith came in. Looked like there was going to be a little bit of a rise in form. They've now lost 5 in a row. They look pretty shambolic, and I think it's going to be back to the Championship for them next season. I know they do it every season. I would have liked this season just to be a bit nicer to Norwich, you know. Maybe they could survive in the Premier League for a season, but maybe that was a bit too unrealistic. This game, however, I think Leicester will win it very comfortably, 4-0. And speaking of losing 5 in a row, Next up, we've got Watford versus Spurs. And yes, Watford, 5th loss in a row, 4-1 against West Ham. And they're really struggling, and I'm worried for them. As I've said a lot recently, they have an exciting front line. Emmanuel Dennis has been great, and if they get relegated, he will definitely get a move out of the Championship straight back to the Premier League. Then they've got Josh King, who has had his moments. He's had some very good games. Obviously, he scored a hat-trick against Everton. Ismail Assar has been injured, I believe, for a while. I haven't seen him in the lineup. But even without him, I think they've got enough going forward, especially with João Pedro as well, to really cause issues for teams. And they have caused issues for a few teams. It's just at the back. They can't defend. In January, they have to sign a commanding centre-back and probably a full-back as well. I mean, no offence, but Danny Rose at left-back, you're asking to get relegated. He's definitely past his prime, and I don't know, he's not great anymore, is he, Danny Rose? But yeah, you need some reinforcements defensively. If you get it, I can see you surviving as long as they're good players. But I think then, if you don't do that in January, the only way that you're going to survive is by sacking Ranieri. It sounds stupid, but Watford owners, everyone knows, they're very trigger happy. And as soon as results aren't going their way, they will get rid of the manager. If it comes to February, March, and they're still in this sort of form, picking up, like, I don't know, about 3 points every 8 games or whatever it is, then I think Ranieri will have to go. They'll bring someone else in and hope that they can save the day. It could work for them. Hopefully a new manager bounce to come in, but yeah, it's difficult. But we'll see after the January transfer window what sort of deals they do, if they're the right ones, and how the team react. Now Spurs, they are in very good form. Under Conte, they've been great. I was a bit shocked that they didn't beat Southampton. It ended in a 1-1 draw, but that's just credit to Southampton. They are a very hard team to beat. They're like Brighton, really. They're difficult to beat, and fair play to them. But yeah, Conte, I think, will manage to win this game quite comfortably. But I like the Watford attack, so I'll give them a goal. I'm going to go Spurs to win 3-1. Palace versus West Ham next. And Palace, they dispatched of Norwich very comfortably, 3-0, and I wasn't very surprised with that, to be honest. West Ham, they beat Watford 4-1, and it was their first win after 3 games without a win. Can they start going on a winning run, or at least getting a draw and starting to push forward again? I don't know, because this Palace team is hard to read. They've beat Man City in this season. They beat them 2-0, and they played very well. But then there's other games where they just go lacking a bit, and I just don't know what Palace are going to turn up. However, I'm going to go for a good Palace to turn up. They're at home. There's always a great atmosphere when Palace are at home. And I think they can take all 3 points here. So I'm going to go Palace to win 2-1. Brentford versus Villa next. And Brentford, they've lost 2 in a row. Against Brighton 2-0 and Man City 1-0. Villa, they got their 3rd loss under Gerrard. It was a 3-1 loss to Chelsea, meaning that Gerrard has lost to Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City. He's won all the other games in charge of Villa. So I think he should be judged more based on how he does against teams outside of the top 6, because it's always going to be difficult for a manager to beat teams inside the top 6. But I think he's done obviously a very good job with Villa, turned their fortunes around. I think this could be his first draw. Brentford at home are difficult to play against. They showed that in their last game against Man City. Man City could only put one past them, and not that Brentford really made chances, but they did prevent Man City having quite a few chances. And I think they'll be able to do the same here and get a goal against Villa's inconsistent defence. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. Everton versus Brighton next. And Everton, they drew 1-1 with Chelsea in their last game. And I've said that for the last 3 times, as they've had 3 games postponed in a row. So they're pretty fresh, and we'll get to see how it affects Everton, because it's affected other teams, some of them negatively, a few positively. I think it could be negative for Everton. Brighton, they beat Brentford 2-0, and then they drew 1-1 with Chelsea. Danny Welbeck scored an equaliser right at the end, great header to secure a point against Chelsea. So they both drew 1-1 with Chelsea in their last game, and I think Brighton will have the advantage here. I'm going to go Brighton to win 1-0. Leeds versus Burnley is up next, and this is a big battle at the bottom of the table. Leeds, they've lost 3 in a row, conceding 14 in that space, and their last 2 games have been postponed. Burnley, they lost their last game 3-1 against Man United, and they've only won 1 game all season. So obviously they need to start getting wins, but I don't really see where they're going to start coming. This is a chance for them to win a game, but I don't think they'll get it. I don't know why, I just don't. I feel like with Burnley, they should probably get relegated every season, but they'll have a little spell where they put about 4 wins together, something like that, and it just sees them over the line. And that's why I think it's going to be difficult to tell when that run is going to come, as it's normally very unexpected and random. Could be now, could be in April. But for now, I don't think they can win this. And I was going to go for a draw here, but I don't know, I just fancy Leeds at home to nick it, especially with Cornet still being injured for Burnley. So I'm going to go Leeds to win 2-1. Southampton versus Newcastle next, and this game is the second one that's been postponed in this round of fixtures. Now Southampton, they've had a decent December. They've won 1, drew 4 and lost 1. Their last game was a 1-1 draw with Spurs, so they've sort of shown they're very hard to beat, but they're maybe just not clinical enough to nick games. However, they'll be very happy with that December, and I don't really have any worries about them this season. I think they'll definitely be a Premier League side next season. Newcastle, they drew 1-1 with Man United, and they played very well in that match. Joelinton was playing as a box-to-box midfielder, basically, and he had a very good game. St Maximin got the goal, very good goal. Probably could have had 2 or 3. Should have definitely had 2 anyway. And they should have won that game. They didn't, but it's a point that no one really expected them to get. So, fair play to them for getting that extra point. In this game, I'm going to stick with the theme that Southampton are hard to beat. It makes sense, as they are hard to beat. And I'm going to go for a draw, 2-2. There's another brilliant game in this round of fixtures, and it's one at the top. Again, Chelsea versus Liverpool. This is a very big match. And Chelsea, they're unbeaten in 5 in the league, but they'll be disappointed with it because it's 3 draws and 2 wins, and they'd obviously want quite a few more wins than that. Their last game, drawing 1-1 with Brighton, Danny Welbeck scoring in the last minute against them to stop them getting all 3 points. Now Liverpool, they lost their last game 1-0 against Leicester for their second loss of the season, and the game before that they drew with Spurs. So Liverpool picked up 1 point out of a possible 6 in their last 2 matches, which has seen Man City take quite a big lead at the top of the league now. And I think it's only going to get bigger because both these teams can't win this game. In fact, I don't think either team's going to win this game, as I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And finally, Man United take on Wolves. Now, Man United, they beat Burnley 3-1 after that disappointing 1-1 draw with Newcastle. Can they get back on track and start winning games again? Well, it could be difficult here because this Wolves side drew 0-0 with Chelsea in their last game, and they've only lost 2 of their last 7 games against Liverpool and Man City, both 1-0. So Wolves, as we've said every week, brilliant defensively, just lacking up front a bit. But I think they'll get something out of this, to be honest, because I'm not fully convinced by Ranieri's Man United yet. And I just think Wolves, they're so tough to beat. Wolves, Southampton and Brighton are just those teams that you don't really want to play if you're a big side, because they can be a stumbling block and they can just throw out a very good result. And I see one here, to be honest. I think this will be down the middle, 1-1. So that's it for my Premier League predictions for the first round of fixtures in 2022. There's some good fixtures here. Arsenal v Man City and Chelsea v Liverpool being the key 2 at the top of the league. But then there's also Leeds versus Burnley. Very big clash at the bottom. These games could change the table around quite a bit this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to them. In the comments, let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with, and put your predictions down there too. Please like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more Premier League content.